It's very Armstrong. We'll leave it at that. And I've got some TC that we recently brought in, and I want to get this repotted. Some fun stuff. The two bigger items were a couple of white monsters, so those will be pretty exciting. And other than that, some small items that we also brought in. And these are Anthurium queens. I don't know if you know, but I'm notorious for killing queens, so I figured, you know, the more that I could get, the better my chances are. So figured we'd go with some of those. And then I think these are Bromarks. No, these aren't Bromarks. Oh, this okay. So we've got some ties. I don't know how many ties we have here. Excuse my fingernail, I smashed it. And then we've also got, I thought there was a some Bromarks flames in here. Yeah, okay, here we go. These are Bromarks flames. And some Bromarks flames. And so we're going to repot them. We're not going to be as like careful and tender and gentle as you'll see in some of the videos, just because we've done this before and not been gentle and had success. And so we're going to just kind of run through it, do it real quick, and enjoy the experience, but not be super difficult. So the white monsters, we're going to do those in a mixture of zeolite, which is this stuff here. Zeolite is kind of like a volcanic ash compound, similar, no, I wouldn't say similar to perlite, but it's, you know, look it up. Maybe I'll drop some similar to sand, maybe like a cross between sand and volcanic ash. I'll drop some details about zeolite and its benefits in the comments section. And then also we're going to use stratum, which is a volcanic ash. Really good stuff. A lot of biological benefits and a lot of benefits as far as nutrients go. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably do like a 70-30 mix, 70% zeolite, 30% stratum, in order to give it the monsteras what they need for root growth. One thing to keep in mind with the stratum though is this stuff dries out really fast. In fact, I might mix in some fine perlite in this mixture, so this is probably going to quickly become stratum, zeolite, and perlite, so that we can maintain our moisture that we will need. It's going to be in a domed cup, so it won't really, moisture won't really be an issue, but it's going to be, so it'll be in something like this. But it'll be better to not have to worry about that whatsoever, because as those of you that know me know that I traditionally will do like a tube cup system, where you've got a cup on the top, and then you've also got a cup on the bottom, and they're separated similar to that, and there's a wick that goes down from one cup up into the other cup, and this is like a water retention. We're not going to do that for this particular setup because it is going to be in a dome. The dome's also going to be in a grow tent, and so it would just be overkill if it was out into the open, and I would probably do it that other way, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, let's jump into this. Let's start with the Bromarks flame. We'll kind of work our way up. Actually, let's start with the tie. We'll work our way up to a white monster, just so we can kind of get an idea of what we're doing. This is the first time that I've worked with this particular company, and so a little lid, just take that off of there. Now this one, it's got a little bit of a brown spot. Let's go back up a little bit there. Okay, get that off there. All right, so you got a little bit of a brown spot right in here. That's just one leaf. I did let these go for about a week before now, so it's expected that it's not going to be perfect because of the fact that it's been a while, and so I'm not really concerned. And just one leaf is really also kind of a non-issue. I think the bigger issue for me with this particular plant is just how much it's grown inside this little container.
Maybe your thing is only up to this.
Alright, there we go. We're back. I had to delete a lot of memory and still have a lot more memory to delete. That's fine. So going back to the tie, high level of variegation tie constellation. So we're going to start with this one just to kind of get going here. I also have just some room temperature water that we're gonna just kind of shake it off and clean it out in. Set of tongs. I don't usually use tongs, but I'm going to use them for the purpose of this video, mainly just because the video that I watched of the seller, they were using tongs. I should probably get up closer so you guys can see what I'm doing. So we're gonna just pull that guy out of there. So it's an extra, not an extra, but one of the dead leaves came out, and you've got another dead leaf right there. So we'll probably just pull that guy off of there. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna stick it in the water. I'm just gonna shake it off a little bit, and I'm gonna do this for these ones. But typically I don't do this, which is kind of weird because I feel like the solution that's on here, that gel solution, is made up of the stuff that helps it feeds the plant while it's in its growth stage from TC to seedling. And because of that, I have traditionally just left that in the media when I go to plant it, just because I figure it's just a little bit of extra nutrition or nutrients that it can get during that process as it's transitioning into the plant stage of life from the tissue culture and then to the seedling. All right, so what we've done is we've pulled off this other dead leaf here, which is not a big deal. Still a whole lot of beautiful, good plant here. So take a look at that. Very nice. And then we're going to take this guy, and for right now I'm just going to set him in this because I didn't prepare what he's going to go into just yet. The ties, I didn't really plan on putting them into these cups. I was going to put them into something a little bit bigger, kind of like go with something like this, where you've got like a leca base in the bottom, and then on top of the leca base you would have like a aeroid soil mix with some sphagnum moss mixed into it. So, but I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably just end up using this for the Anthurium queens. So you've got like, this is basically a chunky aeroid mix. It's got a combination of cocoa coir chips, chunky perlite, horticultural charcoal, some mycos. There's even some leca in here, and then your sphagnum moss, obviously. But really, that's just to create a substrate. And in this particular one, we actually have some corn husks in there too, or rice husks, not corn husks, rice husks. Just to create a nice substrate for the plants to go into as they're growing. I think I'm not going to use that with the, I don't know, maybe I'll use it with some plants, I won't use it with others. Let's try a few different things just to see what works best. So the reason we like to use the leca base is it creates a nice aeration in the very bottom so that you don't get mold or a situation where there's just not enough aeration in the top section where the actual substrate is. Very similar to how you would do a terrarium. In fact, for the same reasons even. So just something to keep in mind when you're creating your propagation boxes or whatever it is that you put your plants in while they are propagating, or if you are building a terrarium for that matter, honestly. Alright, so now what we've got is we've got our leca base, and then under our start with the leca base, then we've got our substrate medium with all of our good stuff in there. This doesn't look like it has a whole bunch of horticultural charcoal in it, but it does have some in there, so a little bit in there. Okay, so some is going to go into this, some is going to go into the combination of zeolite and stratum. But we'll just, I think what I'm going to do is the ones that I really like are going to go into the stratum zeolite mix, and then the ones that are just like, those will probably go into the other substrate. Alright, moving on. Lost my plant. Alright, so let's start with this guy. He looks really good. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pot him up in a combination of the zeolite and the stratum. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do probably about a 70-30 mix. And you should probably usually rinse your substrate, even if it's like the zeolite. The zeolite should probably be rinsed. You'll see that you probably can't see it on the, oh, there you go. See a little bit. You can see the dust on the cup. Typically, I would rinse my zeolite. I'm not going to worry about it for, ooh, making a mess, and this is not cheap. I'm not going to worry about it for this particular setup, but I'm going to find a better way to do this because this is not working. Maybe, I don't know. Okay. Let's put a little bit more of that in there. And what I like to do is I like to mix it up just literally by shaking it. I don't necessarily need the stratum on the top or the zeolite on the bottom or vice versa. I just need all of these together. So I'm going to just shake it up like that. And notice that you can't really see the stratum, so I'm going to put more stratum in there. Try something different here. Just go a little bit more stratum like that. And then if you get too much, then you can still separate it, throw it in a different cup. Because I'm not going to need that much stuff for one plant. So, but I want to get my mix right. Shake it up some more like that. And that's about the way I like it. Yeah, so now I can see a good concentration of both. But again, I don't need that much. So we're only going to take what we need. We're going to pour it into a new cup. About like that. So really we have like almost 2 cups worth. Maybe a little bit more. So go like that. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do, and actually we're going to pour some of this back because I need to pour some of this around the leaves of the plant, or around the roots of the plant. So we're going to start out with about that much. And that's about, I don't know, 1 inch high in a 12-ounce cup. Then we're going to bring our little guy who's been hanging out here in the water. Got most of the gel off for the purposes of this video. Again, not something I typically do, but that's fine. And we're going to take him and we're just going to position him right down inside of there. Try and get him to where he's centered. Maybe. There we go. Kind of like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the rest of it in there. Try not to get any on the actual leaf, but get it so that I can cover up the roots. And then you want to try and make sure that none of the leaves are touching the side of the cup, because that could cause them to melt. We're going to shake it just a hair. Just tap it. So now I've got everything all nice and covered up. We have the one leaf right there that's kind of touching the side, but he's kind of long, so he's actually kind of buried there. Maybe we just try and slide it back just a little bit. Lean it forward. And obviously as it grows, it's probably going to touch the side anyways. Okay, so there we go. So now we've got this guy looking good. He's in there. Roots are all covered, but obviously we're not done. Right now we have just some regular water, but I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to mix up some root zone, and we're going to use that. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get that squared away because I didn't do that ahead of time, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So really good product. So this is Root Zone by GT or Growth Technology. This is really good stuff for growing out roots, and I really like it, and it's super potent. And so you don't need very much. Like in something this small, I'm just gonna put like I pre-made a drop, but now that drop's not coming out, so we're just gonna go like this. We're gonna take that drop. So just a drop, really, and I'm just gonna one drop, just dilute it in there, just like that. I had to mix it with the water because the drop didn't want to come out by itself, but that's fine. All right, so just tiny little drop. Now we've got some really good filtered water mixed with a drop of just one drop of root zone in a 12-ounce cup, and that's going to be just enough to get some water and some moisture into our setup here. And let's see. And you don't want too much. Just the nice thing about zeolite is it turns like a greenish color, so it's kind of cool. And then stratum, one secret with stratum, if you are not familiar, when it dries out, it turns like a brownish color. And so when your stratum is brown, it's really time to water your plant if it's sitting just in stratum. Okay, so that's going to be our setup. That's what we're going to do with the white monster, as well as the ties that look really nice. We're going to throw a dome lid on there like this, so we've got it in a nice moisture retained situation. There's probably just a little bit too much water in there, like if you can see there. So when it's sitting flat like that, and then if you see when I angle it, you can see a little bit of that water just right there. It's a little bit too much, but because this is the first time that we've watered this, it's going to soak up and absorb that water, so I'm not really worried. But if this was a plant that was going to be in a dome setup like this and had been watered before, so there's already some moisture that's been retained in the substrate, then I would probably want to not water quite that much. But I think we're going to be safe with this one. And so that's going to be it. So right there we've got a high variegation Thai Constellation TC that is in a mix of stratum and zeolite. Maybe we'll do a little update on that, follow up on it, and there you have it. Appreciate it. I'm going to stop talking, start working, maybe speed up the video, and try and knock out a few more of these. Thanks. All right, we're back. A couple things I want to point out in a follow-up session that I noticed as I was going through the process of doing this is one, traditionally I would have alcohol on hand where if I made a mistake and set the, we'll call them tongs on the counter, or if I touched a plant and needed to spray the plant, I would have alcohol on hand to do that. Right now, we're in, let's say, a transitional state, and so I don't have alcohol readily available like I normally would, but it's not that kind of alcohol. And so I want to just point out that I did not sanitize the tongs after setting them on the counter, and should have. And that if you're going to do something like this, that you probably should have some alcohol on hand for such types of instances, but I didn't, and so just kind of be aware of that. Let's see, the other thing is with this filtered water, if I touch a plant and then dip it in the water, I probably have quote-unquote contaminated the water, and so we should probably be replacing it. But again, I've had really good success with TC to where it hasn't really been a necessity to be as gentle as a lot of people are with TC, especially if you're buying like a large quantity and it's not a plant that's a super high value plant. You can be a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say carefree, but a little bit more lax with your practice. And so it's not that big of an issue. At least I haven't found it to be that big of an issue. But there's others that, they might be extremely meticulous. Oh, the other thing is I was pointing out that if you have like a 12-ounce cup that has a line in the bottom of it, that line in the bottom is really good for determining where you want your baseline to be. And it's good to have a baseline so that you can have some place that the moisture or water can be in at the bottom, and then you would set your plant on top of that, and then you would continue to set more of your medium on top of that even still. And man, he's actually he's going to go in a bigger cup because that's kind of too small for him already. So for right now, I'm just going to set him aside. Okay, so yeah, just wanted to point out a couple of those things. Again, yeah, definitely use alcohol if you have it available. Also, try not to touch your plant with your hands, especially if they're dirty, and use tongs if you have them. Traditionally, we don't go through those practices, but I wanted to make sure that I kind of did this the right way, so to speak. But other than that, yeah, I'll do some type of a follow-up. Tons of stuff to pot up or plant or get into a medium. Again, highly recommend root zone. You'll find that we do carry this, and there'll be more details on that later for those of you that know me, and even for those of you that don't. But again, in the meantime, this is Trey Armstrong. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Got a lot of work to do. Bye.